It's 27 degrees here in Edmonton, Alberta. I can feel my face sweating and my eyeballs sweating. But here we are, modern dad society. We welcome everyone for different reasons. Not everyone equally, everyone for different reasons. Today we're going to talk about respect, courtesy, and common sense. Respect is respecting people. Courtesy is the act of respect, is taking what you respect, taking those ideas and implementing them either at home, public, in your personal life. Common sense, the fundamentals and the building blocks of knowing, I wouldn't say right or wrong, knowing what should be the norm, what should be commonly accepted, and I guess kind of sort of right or wrong. But common sense is the foundation to be able to adapt yourself, your personality, and have the confidence to be able to proceed with the things you want to do in life that come at you from the unknown. There's so many things that just show up, like super simple. Common sense for myself is drilling things into the wall, whether it's a hook for your gym barbell, for a random Bosu ball, or even a couple pieces of wood together, a shelf. So I know from being taught to do it one way. You drill the pilot hole, line it up, put the screw in. Well, actually, no, you back up, you level it out, you mark it out, pop the screws in. I was taught that. And then it's like, okay, what situations do you do that in? Everyone? Some of them? Well, you know that some wood's softer than other woods. Some screws are thicker than other screws. Well, I screwed up, drilled a couple into the wall, stripped the screw heads because I didn't do the pilot hole. And then I had to manually unscrew it. And it's like, you know what? I know better. I should have used common sense to drill the pilot holes and pop them into the wall perfectly the first time. So that cost me half an hour of grief and manually twisting out these stupid screws. So that one was one for me. Courtesy is over the last 30 years, courtesy has, I wouldn't say evolved, I would say has added layers to situations. Like, for instance, when you're standing in line and you're one or two wide, well, courtesy is if you're in a group, you don't just have a massive 5x5 of people and just massive weird, because that screws up the line, it confuses things. And then all of a sudden the line becomes 5 people wide, and then all the single people or the double people, it gets weird. And for in lines, courtesy of, it was before don't cut into line, don't be disruptive when you're in line. But now it's layers of don't be talking loud on your phone. Don't be on FaceTime on your phone holding it in front of your face with everyone in the background, because those background people, have respect for them. They're not background characters in your life. People are around you. They're trying to get through their day the best they can. And we all got to have the courtesy so we don't make our lives more difficult and make the lives of other people around us more difficult. Another courtesy one is sitting in a hot tub. I've been sitting in a hot tub multiple times, relaxing at the gym, and been in situations where there's one person loudly on his phone watching videos. And then one time the guy was loudly on his phone talking. And one person was even on FaceTime in the hot tub talking loudly. And you could hear the other person. And it's like, have the courtesy, because if all 6 of us were doing that, all FaceTiming each other, all on videos, all on our phones, all loud, the amount of noise pollution that would create and the echoing in the gym, how annoying would that be if there was 5 half-naked dudes talking loudly on their phones on FaceTime? And it's probably about nothing, because If it was an emergency, sure, absolutely understandable. But when you're talking about cars, the mall, what you did today, like you don't need to in that moment in time. There's not that many people that sit in a hot tub for 3 hours at a time that need to talk on their phone every now and then. If you need to talk on your phone, go somewhere else. Have the courtesy of people around you that are trying to relax. They had a hard day at work or a hard gym session, or they just want to relax and sit quietly by themselves. Maybe that's their only moment to sit quietly. And are they supposed to come up to you and be like, hey, turn off your phone because it's too loud and it's super fucking annoying? That's like, we want to say that. But 9 times out of 10, no one's going to go up to that person because the people around dealing with that have the intense courtesy to be like, you know what? I'm just going to try to block it out. I'm going to try to ignore it. It's bothering me. There's no reason for him to be on his phone. There's rules that state you can't be on your phone. I'm just going to not say anything. But it kills them on the inside that this person does not have the courtesy of the people around them. And that's disappointing. It's also a little bit, common sense a bit too, is the building blocks of just the courtesy, the building blocks of not being rude to others around you and just being kind. So obviously the focus is respect, courtesy, and common sense, but there's definitely lots of moving parts in these situations. The phones have definitely changed the game. Now everyone with their headphones on in public, being distracted, not being aware of people around or the noise and the sounds, and people politely saying, excuse me, and then they just don't hear. And then that person has to awkwardly stand there weirdly or just awkwardly scooch by, making their life difficult because that person is just thinking of themselves. When we're out in public, we all have to think about each other more to just navigate that. Simple road rage. We've all been there. I don't need to talk about it. It's absolutely crazy, absolutely mental. If you're into murder podcasts and you've heard Fear Thy Neighbor, you know exactly what I'm talking about. For everyone who doesn't podcast or watch, I can't remember what show it's on, or Forensic TV or whatever. Fear Thy Neighbor is a show where people are living in a neighborhood and let's just get real. One person ends up killing the other person in absolutely insane situations. Quick little summary of the most craziest one is 2 townhouses, girl in one, guy moves into the other, tries to do the renos, screws up the renos, doesn't have money, leaves it there. The HOA and his neighbor comes in and is like, hey, do you need help? Can we help you out? He keeps saying he will, keeps not doing it. The fighting between the 2 neighbors progresses and just gets so much worse that eventually he ends up going into his basement, digging a hole through his basement wall, walking up in the middle of the night, kidnapping her, killing her in her townhouse, dragging her body back through the hole, and he tries to cut up her body in the basement of his place to get rid of the body. And after a few days, obviously people find out this one's missing. They search the place and they find her cut up in the basement. How crazy is that? For the simple fact that that guy did not have the courtesy to keep his place clean, tidy, and he was disrupting the neighbors. It is absolutely crazy, these stories. So check it out, Fear Thy Neighbor. Incredible. So have the courtesy, and having children, teaching them the foundation of the common sense as best you can with experiences, guiding them. They're always watching, they're always trying to figure it out themselves. And it's ensuring that the learning, the guidance is there from us as parents to the best of our ability, so the kid knows, whether they figure it out now or 10 years from now, is just like all our parents used to, well, my parents used to say, every 5 years, whatever age I was, they added 5 years. And like, you'll know when you're 25. Oh, you'll know when you're 30. Oh, you'll know when you're 35. Oh, you'll know when you're 40. It's like, well, no, as kids, we know and we learn and we grow. We just let our parents say that. And it's it's funny how it's always that cycle. Every parent thinks that their kid doesn't learn, and every kid thinks that their parents don't understand them. And that's far from the truth. And it's a fun cycle. But we're all learning, we're all growing, we're all trying to navigate the different additional layers of what respect, common sense, and courtesy is in the evolution of the public, evolution of what's going on around us. The COVID era created a whole new set of common sense items and that have flowed as the years even progressed, because people still make jokes about social distancing. There's still people wearing masks, and it's whether that's common sense or just that person's personal preference. But if someone has that personal preference, everyone around must have the common sense to just be courteous of that person. We don't have to make fun of them. We don't have to be abrasive toward them. We just have the common sense and courtesy to just carry on. It's no big deal. It's, or as, we grow up, some of the questions we stop asking. Kids ask the craziest questions. They ask, why? Why are you in a wheelchair? Why don't you have an arm? Why does your face do that? Because they don't have that quick sense of, oh, maybe I shouldn't say that. But really, even us as adults, as we're growing, it's okay to ask those questions because it's genuine curiosity. And if that person somehow takes offense to when you're being genuine and curious and just wanting to have the conversation, that's on them. Then you just walk away and let them have their judgment. And that's on them not to have the common sense to just know that you're just being genuine. You're not making fun of them. You're just curious. A lot of diseases out there, a lot of different situations I don't know, and I'm genuinely curious about. Am I shy to ask? Absolutely. Sometimes I wish I was 12 and I could just blurt out random questions to these people, because we've navigated the whole movement of, well, not necessarily movement, just evolution and growth and learning of different techniques of learning with our children, different, mental health definitions, different ways to cope, different ways of therapy, different ways of communication, and how that affects. For sure, do we all know that therapy is good? Some people said, oh, therapy is bad. But it's like the genuine part of it is it's helpful. It helps us open up. It helps us talk. It helps us see things. All the different ADHDs, all the different medications, all the different anxieties, all the different stresses. What's the word I'm trying to go for? I can't remember. But we're all learning together, navigating, and having the courtesy to be understanding and then to make the appropriate, respectful judgment call from there. So it's interesting how respect, courtesy, and common sense have grown, added layers. It's constant. Welcome to Modern Dad Society, where we learn and we talk about our experiences. So let me know what you guys think. Let me know what kind of situations that you guys have been through. We can all kind of learn and get better. Parenting never ends. Being a child never ends. So let's talk about it. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. My name is Jason Lucas. Face is sweating, 27 degrees. Turn the fan on. Drink lots of water. Be healthy, guys.